Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Kingdom Silver here, and today I am so excited because we are going to cover 5 mistakes that I have seen not only in myself but in others when trying to stack gold and silver. And so today we're going to go over these 5 mistakes that gold and silver stackers experience and how you can avoid them. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. I appreciate the support, and if you haven't already, please smash that like button, comment, subscribe to the channel, and let's get the word out about gold and silver. So as we go through these 5 reasons, I am going to be covering some gold and silver, be showing that off. That kind of symbolizes my journey with the precious metals. And so the first reason that we're going to cover, or the first mistake that I see, is not having a plan. And so I believe a good representation of that is this sunshine minting tubes, tube of 20, and then also these Armenian drums that are sealed from the factory. Big fans of those. Why is this as simple? And in fact, we're going to cover one more here. We've got a 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle. So you say, why do these symbolize it? Well, when I first started out in my silver stacking journey, I had done a lot of research, and I was like, you know what, I want some very secure silver, and that's why I was drawn to Sunshine Minting, because I love their security features. I love the design of it. It's very simplistic, but yeah, I would say minimalist, if you will. Really like that. However, as I was stacking, some laws came out in my state to where you can now pay for debts, both private and public, using gold and silver if it's minted from a sovereign mint. And so that's why I shifted over to these Armenian drums. And often I see people that are stacking and there really isn't a plan or a strategy here. And this is an example of a strategy that I did have, and that I was willing to pivot my strategy because of other factors, right? I think the worst thing that you could do in this gold and silver stacking journey is to go in this with no plan whatsoever. And there's a lot of different factors. You got to know, hey, what's my budget? What are my objectives? Am I stacking because I want to be able to have silver for bartering, which you might want to lean into junk silver? Am I stacking for ounces and just looking for the lowest, or getting able to accumulate the most ounces of silver and gold for my price point? Are you looking at it to preserve wealth? Are you looking at it to get in and out of the market or to play some arbitrage? It's important to know your objectives, because then that will influence your decisions. Very, very key. The next thing that we're going to cover, it's the fear of missing out. So I've done this. I'm sure you've done it as well. You see the silver market rising and you're like, oh my goodness, I got to get in. I got to go buy my silver now. Or you may see the market tanking. You're like, oh my goodness, I got to sell my silver now. I don't want to lose any more of my investment in it. That fear of missing out can really mess with your mind. It can get you in a bad mental place, and you have to, again, going back to that have a plan, which is why I put that first, that can help you prevent you from making those mistakes, that fear of missing out. Because what is the objective long term? This is really wealth preservation. Or for you, it might be, hey, I just need silver for a barter, or for, whatever that reason is. If you're allowing, hey, I got to get in or get out at this time, that doesn't make sense. So what I would recommend is, as opposed to that, if you are going to be buying gold and silver, say, hey, here's my targets. If silver dips below X dollar range, I'm going to buy. And if it goes above dollar range, I'm going to sell. Next thing that we are going to cover, and I believe that this maple leaf and then this Britannia symbolize it well, is not taking advantage of free shipping. And when I say this, for those that don't know, the bullion dealers out there often offer free shipping on any purchases over $200. Now, here's some caveats to this rule, or to this mistake. If you're somebody that's had a lot of issues with your postal service or with your package carriers like FedEx, UPS in a certain area, and you're like, hey, I want to pay up for some shipping, totally do so. I think that makes sense. Or if you are purchasing a large quantity of physical gold and silver, I'd say anywhere maybe 5 figures, or at least very healthy high four figures, if you will. But for a lot of us, though, if you're making some of the smaller, $200, $500 plus purchases, personally, I've never had any issues with the free shipping that's offered from these dealers. And part of the reason that I take advantage of that is, if you are, let's say you're making a $200 purchase of bullion every single month, right? Well, then that's usually shipping's about $10, but then it's free if you're over that threshold. If you think about that, that's if you did a purchase of $200 every single month, you would be saving $10 each month in shipping. That's $120 a year. And at the current spot price of silver, that's a little less than 4 ounces of additional silver you could pick up. Now, again, that math's rounded, right? And you may say, hey, I may not have enough money to get to that $200 threshold. Well, save up your money until you do. Because I think for the most part, it just makes sense to use that free shipping. Now, again, complete caveats here in this. If you're having issues with your postal carrier, if you're having issues with shipping it, or you're getting a larger amount, I would take the security of having, some FedEx 2-day with signature or whatever. But for me, and I think for a lot of people, free shipping just makes sense. Number 4 that we're going to be covering is purchasing from unreputable dealers. And I believe that this SD Bullion exclusive Lion of Judah is a good symbol, not because they are not reputable, but one, just a good reason. I love this coin. I love showing it off. But, there are a lot of people out there that are not very reputable. I would not recommend buying bullion from eBay. Now, having said that, I have broken this rule once or twice early on, and the reason why I did that, ladies and gentlemen, was because I found a bullion dealer that also had an eBay store. And so I checked them out, checked out reviews on them, saw that they had a physical store, and I said, hey, they're just using eBay as a platform to sell their bullion. In that case, I did violate that rule. However, for the most part, I would not purchase bullion from eBay. I wouldn't purchase from QVC. Yes, the television channel that sells everything. They're marking up prices on a lot of their bullion. It doesn't make sense, and you're going to see other, I won't say scams, but I would say maybe not the most reputable or honest way to sell bullion that happens that way. Do your own research. There's so many bullion dealers out there. I've got a whole playlist that tells you good dealers just off the top of my head. SD Bullion, Monument Metals, Bullion Exchanges, APMEX, JM Bullion, Buy Gold and Silver Coins. There's a lot of good bullion dealers out there, and I'm sure many others that I haven't had a chance to purchase from, or just, for whatever reason don't know that are out there. Please use them. Don't use some of these sketchy dealers. I think you're going to really appreciate not going through all that hassle. And then the last mistake that I see is simply being afraid to learn. And I think that there's no more accurate a representation of this than these eagles. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I do own eagles, and I say that a little bit sarcastically because I did make a video on American Silver Eagles on being, I think the title is Beware of Eagles. And having said all of that, the reason that I made that video is I love American-made products. I love the eagle. It's not my favorite design of all the coins, but I think it's a really solid design. And in my video, which actually is one of the most popular I've done, it's almost at 10,000 views, which is just surreal that I could have that many views on a video. Very blessed. Having said that, I made that video and I laid out, I think, some good points on why I wouldn't have gone, especially if you're new starting out in buying American Eagles. And there were a lot of people that commented back and said, hey, have you thought about this? One gentleman said, hey, I bought Eagles, and when there's shortages and the hype goes up, and some of them are getting at $18, $19, $20 over spot premiums, I've sold those and flipped them and made a lot of money. And I think that was something I hadn't considered before. Other people are saying, hey, the premiums are always valuable, or have you considered that some people may not recognize some of the other coins that are out there, other government issued coins? So there were some good opinions out there, and while I still wouldn't say that I'm primarily going to stack eagles. I did get a lot of good information from people and I learned things. And it's okay for us to say, hey, I learned something. I really enjoyed interacting with people in the community from that video and I learned a lot. And I'm taking some things of, hey, now I am looking for a few more eagles. I'm not going to break the bank premiums wise to find them. But if I find some at spot, if I find some at reasonable premiums, then I'm going to pick some up. However, there were also a lot of other people that commented on that video. I won't say a lot, actually, it wasn't that many, but there were some that were very disrespectful. And as opposed to having a civil discourse, they started attacking me personally. And what made me sad about that is these are people that are afraid to learn. And whether you're 6 or 156, we're always learning, ladies and gentlemen. We can always learn. And while we may not disagree, or while we may not agree with one another all the time, right? There's things that we can learn. And sometimes it's just, hey, that's a good opinion, but I'm still going to keep mine. And that's okay. We have to realize that the things that bring us together are more valuable than the things that tear us apart, especially because we're in the bullion community and we're trying to get the word out about gold and silver. So if I can just implore you on anything, please, please, please be open to new ideas. I'm not saying you have to accept them. Just be open to a different perspective. I think something that's honestly, as we're going into an election cycle, that's something we could all learn, right? That there's more things that unite us than divide us. So with that, those are my 5 mistakes that gold and silver stackers make. And in the comments, are there other mistakes that you guys see and gals see? I would love to hear about them. Is there anything I missed? Is there anything you agree with or disagree with? I'm happy to talk about it. So with all of that, be blessed, be a blessing to others. We'll see you later.